My name is DJ and I'm in London. I'll be hosting this week's episode. Like every week, I'm joined by the two Garg brothers, Varun in Singapore. I'll come to you first, Varun. Varun, it's the opening weekend of the IPL. How are you feeling, man? Just tell our listeners about what's going on in that mind of yours at the moment.
It's just the best time of the year. It's the time I look forward to the most. The first couple of days is the most fun because there's still 6 weeks to go. There's excitement. The game is on till 2 a.m. my time. I've been up every morning. I did fall asleep on the couch on Friday night watching the first game, but woke up in time to see an AB masterclass. So just generally very, very excited.
Fantastic. And the other Garg brother, all the way from the United States of America. I feel like I'm doing a WWE introduction, man. Ashwin Garg, how are you
There you
doing,
go.
brother?
Do I have theme music? Can I get some theme music?
Yeah, we'll have Edges and Sledges theme music, right? Which is
Yeah, I
also
feel
kind of inspired by the WWF or WWE.
we
as
should
it is now.
each have our own theme music so that before one of us speaks it, I just want to see what Varun's will be, where it just like blasts through the screen, flames above you. Behind.
Yours is clearly "Come on Ash, Come on Ash, Come on Ash" on repeat, right? Rishabh Pant just chanting that. Mine is Jason Holder yelling "Dhananjaya" from
So
the
maybe
recent
we'll get a clip today
game.
of Dinesh Karthik saying Varun to Chakrabarti. That's
Ended up Varun.
all right.
Classic.
DJ, did you have a question for me, or what was the?
No, I was going to say, how are you feeling,
perspective?
man? Speaking of WWE music, you sent us a clip of Yuzi Chahal walking in with the Undertaker theme music playing with Kyle Jameson walking behind him. What's going on, man?
Man, there's too much stuff. Meanwhile, Chris Gale has released a new song. It's phenomenal. Like when DJ Bravo did it first, now Chris Gale is releasing music. It's gone from Jamaica to India. So anyway, yeah.
But DJ Bravo at least did something. What did Chris Gale do in this video?
I think he had like 3 lines of rap, and then the rest of it was his partner, the singer or the rapper. But if you wait and watch like past a minute and a half, Gale does have a few lines. Anyway, no, dude, feeling great, right? How awesome is IPL season? First match went down to the last ball. Second match wasn't quite as close, but Delhi won it, which was great. So just phenomenal. So excited to have the season back. And honestly, it's just so much fun, despite kind of quarantine times and things like that. We live in a weird year, just living it with everybody, right? Between Twitter and our Discord server, and obviously the three of us in this show, it's just a ton of fun. So really excited.
Absolutely genius. I love all the off-field stuff that we've already spoken about. We haven't even gotten into any of the cricket and the Varun, Rahul Dravid's ad, man. What was that? How genius is that ad? That's the last bit of off-field we'll do before we actually dive into the games. But talk our listeners through that Rahul Dravid ad, dude.
I mean, it just shocks you, right? Because there's this guy, and you've seen cred ads before. They've had Madhuri Dixit, Govinda, Bappi Lahiri, and it's been unique. It's been fun. They make the co-stars do something and say, we should have just said download cred. But in this case, it was totally different. You got somebody talking about it, and then he gives an analogy. And man, didn't know Rahul Dravid could act. He was fantastic. Now, maybe he was just in Indiranagar on a Wednesday evening trying to get home and somebody filmed him. But that ad is really causing some waves in the internet. It was really good. It was fun to see. I haven't seen Dravid in a while. He's the kind of guy who stays behind the scenes a lot. So for him to come out and do an ad which is totally opposite of what his kind of nature is, it was really fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed that ad. But guys, this is the Edges and Sledges cricket podcast, and we are here to talk about cricket. So we're doing this show live on YouTube. So we've decided to try and stream as much as we can, right? When we can stream stuff live, we've tried to stream that now to our dedicated Edges and Sledges YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked that out yet, guys, there's a link in the show notes. Please go and check it out. Subscribe to it, turn your notifications on. So whenever we do go live, you'll get a notification and you'll be able to join us. So we're going to do the first half of this show live, and we're going to talk about the first 2 games. The third game that's on right now, KKR versus Sunrisers Hyderabad, we'll be joined by a special guest in the second half of the show to just wrap that. But there's plenty to talk about from the first 2 games. Of course, the Ashwin.
Sorry, Tripathi has just hit a 6. Varun, is there anything you'd like to say for that?
Tripathi has just come to the party.
And that's fantastic, which reminds me, Tripathi is in my fantasy cricket team. So I'm very glad about that. We will do a fantasy wrap at the end of this as well. So lots lined up in this show, but let's come to the IPL opener, guys. Mumbai Indians versus the Royal Challengers Bangalore. It was billed as Kohli versus Rohit. Big clash between two big teams. Last season, you saw those two cracking games. One, Ishan Kishan scoring 99, that partnership between him and Pollard, a super over. And the second game where you had Surya Kumar Yadav saying, Main hoon na, chill. And there was that exchange between him and Kohli. It was very charged. It's a very charged game, right? So, Ashwin, I'm going to come to you first. Ashwin, tell us what happened in that game. It went down to the last ball. There were quite a few interesting performances. So let's just talk through the first innings where Mumbai Indians started off, and then let's go to the second innings where there was an ABD special.
Yeah, so Mumbai Indians got put into bat, right? Virat Kohli interestingly said, I guess finally after all the practice I've done, I've figured out how to win a coin toss, which was pretty funny. I guess it's just entertaining to me that he is very self-aware about his record with the coin. But yeah, got put into bat. I mean, Chris Lynn opened the batting with Rohit, which was interesting. And I think the first few matches are always going to be interesting because in this case, for example, South African players weren't available. And so it's a discussion we can have later. But Chrislin came in, made 49 actually. And now do you immediately drop him for Quinton de Kock after a pretty good knock? It's going to be tricky for the sides. Uh, Great to see Surya Kumar Yadav came in at 3, batted pretty well for a 31 before he got out. Ishan Kishan, or Ishan Kishan as we call him on this show, I guess, batted
Let's say
at 4.
we. Let's say we call him.
Yeah, no, as one of us calls him on this show, Ishan Kishan. But no, Ishan Kishan batted it, looked really good, made 28, but they kind of didn't come great in the entire match. And so they ended up at 159. And I thought what was interesting is 14 years we've been watching this, and RCB's shortcoming has been their death bowling. And boy, did they look good today or on the season opener, right? They came really good. Of course, the man you have to mention, Harshal Patel, just got transferred out from Delhi. So for those who've been tracking this show, we know that Delhi has a great track record of sending players away and then them becoming superstars at their new teams. But that's fine. We live with it. Happy for the guy. Picked up 5 for 27 in his 4 overs. And Mumbai ended at 159. DJ, do you want me to do the second innings also, or should we pause there?
No, I think we should talk a little about that Harshal Patel performance, right? I mean, this guy he's got kind of a middling record in the IPL so far. As you said, he's graduated from the DC Academy where we train players and send them on to become awesome in other franchises. But Ashwin, first of all, were you a little bit surprised by that pick for the RCB because they left Seni out, remember? And Seni's been their go-to death bowler for a while.
Yeah, definitely a little surprising, right? And but I think we see this every year. And for those of us who play fantasy cricket, it's annoying. But every year, most teams will have at least one younger guy who I'd say recent data or history doesn't suggest warrants their team in the side. And we're going to talk about the second game later. But in Delhi's case, that was Avesh Khan over Umesh Yadav and Nishant Sharma. In this case, they picked Harshal Patel. So, and in both cases, arguably they came good. And so there's obviously a lot that's happening in the nets with the trainers, etc., that is impacting decisions, and honestly, rightly so, right? They see what these younger players have been doing in the off season. They see how hard they're working. They see the amount of coaching they're getting when they're not touring with Team India and things like that. So great to see. I mean, very, very happy for the guy. There were a couple of what we like to call on this show junk wickets out there, where in the last over he picked up 3 wickets in 4 balls when they're going for massive slogs and hoiks. But still, kudos. It's not easy to bowl. I think he gave 1 run and took 1 wicket, or picked up 3 wickets. It was almost a triple wicket maiden in that last over. So pretty brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that performance then brings us to the first award of the week already with the CEAT SecuraDrive Player of the Week, 5 for 27. Varun, Harshal Patel could have actually moved to the USA, I believe, with his family, but he stayed back in India to play cricket on the insistence of his coach, Tarak Trivedi. That's what his ESPN Cricket Info profile tells us. So let's talk through why he wins this award. I mean, did you see his slow balls, his bouncers? There were catches dropped off him. So there wasn't quite the thrill of speed, but he was definitely a reliable performer for them in the death overs. And he bowled with fantastic control. So deserved winner of the CEAT SecuraDrive Player of the Week, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he changed the whole game, right? RCB has always had this death bowling issue, like we talked about. Here's a guy who comes in against the Mumbai Indians. He's full of confidence. He backs himself. He's picking up wickets, multiple wickets in the same over. And so for me, definitely this week's CEAT SecuraDrive Player of the Week. And a lot to look forward to, because I think Kohli actually came out and said, we're giving him the responsibility for the death bowling in this tournament. So I think, for all the guys who are playing fantasy, he's going to be playing every game. He's already showed what he can do. And it's still early days. Again, I just want to be like cautious to everyone. I'm sure he will have his fair share of runs against him, but fantastic bowling, can't fault him for anything. And suddenly, given that RCB side, something to look forward to, especially when your players like Chehal, etc., didn't have a very good day on the park. So, full credit to him, full credit to RCB. I also want to talk a little bit about the Mumbai Indians batting. And for me, it's interesting, like Ashwin said, Chris Lynn played, but he's come in just for de Kock. But the more interesting thing for me is that they did not open with Kishan. And Jayawardene alluded to this. A couple of others have alluded to this. Kishan has been given a clear role in the team. He is number 4. Otherwise, you think about it, with de Kock out, he should have moved up straight to open the batting. And he did that for India as well in the T20 series. But I really like this concept of the number 4 being somebody who goes at it from ball 1. You saw India try it with Sanju Samson. Mumbai Indians do it with Kishan. So I'm really happy they stuck to that and they didn't make him open.
And I wonder how that plays out with the ambitions of an individual player themselves, because you kind of look at the Indian cricket team as well. Is Ishan Kishan trying to break into that number 4 slot? He's got competition from Sky and Iyer for that, or is he trying to get into that opening slot? So I wonder how much input is taken from the player themselves, because this IPL performance kind of almost directly translates into a World T20 call up, right? In some ways, but I'll see. I think we'll see how that plays out. Ashwin, what did you make of Chris Lynn's innings? Because it looked really scratchy. He's played a lot of these kind of innings for KKR, kind of hitting huge sixes out of the park, but not actually going forward. And his run out of the big man Rohit Sharma, dude, he sold him down the river completely.
Yeah, I think he was kind of saying that too, to be honest, right? Chris Lynn acknowledged that if I run out my captain, that's it. That might be the end of my season. So it is tricky. It's one of those that you can look at the scorecard after the fact and say 49 off 36, opener struck at about 140, got out, just before making his 50. Not bad, but when you watched it, he really looked like he struggled. But what I think is interesting is Lynn is not the kind of player, at least in my recollection of watching him, who can scratchily get through a tough first period and then power through and go on and play longer. This was the first real time I've seen that. Usually, if he's struggling, he goes for a big shot, very high in the air, and gets caught out. And so that's obviously how he ended up perishing this time too to Washington Sundar. Which, fun fact, Chris Lynn his home ground is the Gabba. And Washington Sundar, of course, not only had heroics at the Gabba, but also has recently brought in a new dog to his home. I don't know if you haven't heard this already, but he has a new puppy whose name is Gabba, which I think is pretty great. So anyway, Chris Lynn perished to Sundar, but scratchy innings. Not enough, despite getting 49, to keep a class player like Quinton de Kock out. But I think he may get one more game before de Kock's done with his quarantine, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, awesome summary. So obviously the Mumbai Indians didn't quite accelerate. They got like 159. That left a chase of 160 for the RCB. Now, Ashwin, let's talk through the second half of the innings. What did you make of Washi opening the batting there? And Kohli, obviously, it said he's going to open, and he played a nice little innings, but didn't actually go on to chase as we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Kohli's magnificent opening. I just love seeing it. No questions asked. Sundar, I think, was interesting because you called it and you had been asking for it, saying, let's have him higher up in the order. And look, they had to compensate for the lack of Devdutt Padikkal. So I don't think Sundar is a long-term choice, essentially, up at the top of the order. I think they may float him around based on when they need a lefty-righty combination, who's bowling, etc. I think it's a smart move to open with him. What I thought was actually more interesting about RCB's batting lineup choices was to send Maxwell at 4. They sent Rajat Patidar, the new guy, at 3. Maxwell at 4. AB de Villiers at 5. Now, conventional cricketing wisdom says your best batter needs to play the most balls. AB at 5 worked magnificently today. It's like this guy can go a year without playing, or 6 months in this case without playing, and show up and be like, yeah, I'll still make 48 off of 27 against Bumrah, Bolt, and like some of the finest bowlers in the world against the number 1 favorites to win this tournament. AB is just a magician. So anyway, I got ahead of it, but it's the more interesting discussion for me is not who opens for RCB. It's how do you play that 3-4-5 in a way that allows Maxwell to hit big, but also be responsible.
Yeah, Varun, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, 2 points. First, I want to say that I think Sundar opening was a terrible, terrible move. Like, I feel like when I saw that, I felt like I was watching Irfan Pathan batting at 3 for India, being told that you're better than Dravid, you should go up the order. And it was a complete disaster. So yes, Washington Sundar is great. Yes, Washington Sundar is young, but guys, come on, let's not mess with his kind of entire mental state of mind. Like, how is he going to open for
No.
RCB?
But I think this is not a regular occurrence, right? This was because DDP's got COVID and
No,
he's
agree,
recovering,
but
right?
still, I mean, it's just what's happening is you're going to mess with this player. He's a T20 specialist. Now you're telling him he's an all-time test great in the future for India potentially,
Like
and now
Bumrah
in
for you, know. Yeah,
like Bumrah. I mean, I genuinely think Sundar could bat in the middle order for tests for India, and it would be
yeah,
fantastic. But now you've
yeah.
told him come back and play T20 and open the batting, and he struggled, man. 10 of 16
Mm,
balls,
yeah.
62.5.
And dropped on not as well to start
Not
with.
a good move, but okay, let's hope they realize that. The second thing is what Ashwin mentioned, Maxwell at 4. uh, Again, to me, a great move, because what you have to realize is RCB have had Kohli and AB for the last 10 seasons, I'm going to say, and they've lost every season. So doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results is not going to happen. If you need Kohli up top to play the anchor, then you need AB to finish. And that's what we saw. Now, RCB made a mess of this chase. They got it down to the last ball. In the first game of the IPL, we saw the result being 1 off 1 needed. And that's the beauty of IPL. But still, RCB should not have messed that chase up. So AB has to play low for. I think they're going to have to split AB and Kohli out to make sure one of them is always at the crease for the 20 overs. And I think that's the strategy, because even though they've got probably the most runs batting together, they have failed as a team, and something different has to be done.
And so, do you think the strategy changes whether they bat first or they bat second? Because then AB can marshal the chase from perhaps number 5. But if they bat first and they've got off to a good start, he can come in at 3, even above Maxwell, and just launch the innings. Maybe that's what they're looking at, right? I
Yeah,
think
100
T20 you
percent.
need
I mean,
flexibility.
yeah, I think like it's not an easy answer, because you saw with Mumbai Indians the way they crumbled towards the end. You don't want a situation where AB and Kohli are out in the 15th over, and then these guys are left. So it's not an easy answer. I think they will be flexible, but it'll be something to watch out for, because you're right. If Devdutt, Padikkal, and Kohli go till 10 overs, I say send AB next, Maxwell to follow, and take your chance. So yes, they will have to be flexible, but I think they're trying to do something different, which is the right move.
And Ashwin, what did you make of AB just taking Bumrah on? And I mean, he took the best bowlers, right, from the Mumbai Indians. He just took their best bowlers on and he deposited them all over the place. How amazing was that? Bolt and Bumrah.
And AB is just a genius. I mean, you watch him play. The guy, he's getting closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning of his career. He is not playing that much competitive cricket. I don't know how you do it. It just, we talk a lot about these Rohit type of players who it looks like get a full extra half second or an extra second. And that's what's magnificent about Gill when they're batting. I mean, AB against Bolt and Bumrah, who are both quick bowlers who have a great block hole delivery, both of them, just looks like he has so much time. It's just so pure. It's just magnificent to watch. He's a magnificent player. I love Delhi. I obviously want them to win, but you have to believe somebody like AB deserves a trophy before he retires as well. And it would be great to see them at least go far in this tournament.
And so AB de Villiers played a fantastic innings. Harshal Patel dug out a great Yorker from the new guy, right? The new Mumbai Indians left arm seamer. I mean, he dug out. He bowled the last over, picked up some wickets. I thought the new guy was pretty good. Varun, any thoughts on the new left arm seamer who's not Arjun Tendulkar or Trent Bolt for the Mumbai Indians?
And he was so tall and thin. It was really funny to see him bowl. But I haven't seen much of the guy before. There were videos or circulating that he bowled to Kohli in the nets 3 years ago, and Kohli missed. He beat Kohli a couple of times in the nets. So great, man. Love to see new talent come in.
Absolutely fantastic. And the RCB started off a campaign winning, and the Mumbai Indians started off a campaign losing. Now, let's move on to the next game, right? Which is a game really close to our heart, of course. It was the CSK versus the Delhi Capitals. The Delhi Capitals looked like they were a little bit light, looked like a little bit of a second string team that they may have had to put out. Obviously, Nokia and Rabada weren't in. Akshar Patel was down with COVID, so he hadn't recovered in time. Shreyas Iyer was out with a shoulder injury. We had a new captain, and all the chat was about, oh, Delhi is going to struggle because they're not at full strength. Rishabh Pant won the toss, put the CSK in. Chris Wokes and who was the other opening bowler for us?
Tom
Harshal,
Curran,
not Harshal Patel.
Avesh
It was
Khan, dude. Come on.
Avesh
Avesh
Khan.
Khan. That's it. So let's come to that. Avesh Khan. I was actually live on the DC Toli watch party when Avesh Khan was announced as the number 11 player, and I actually kind of took a step back and I was like, why aren't we playing Ishant or Umesh now? Ashwin, I'm going to come to you on this one. Ishant, we found out later, was injured, right? So that makes sense. But Umesh, I mean, I would have thought we picked him up in our squad for the Delhi Capitals for precisely this kind of scenario where our Indian kind of leading bowler is injured, but Umesh Yadav didn't make it, but Avesh Khan made it. And you seem pretty okay with it. So talk us through the rationale behind that decision for picking Avesh Khan in the 11 and leaving Umesh out, who's one of your favorite players, incidentally.
he didn't have the man bun, right? I think that could be a factor.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody needs to do the stats about man bun Umesh versus non-man bun Umesh. That's a mouthful to say, but yeah, it's really interesting, right? DJ, I kind of mentioned it with Harshal Patel as well. He's relatively unseen, so you're going in to play against a side that has not had a chance to experience. I guess I'm trying to think through. No, very few people from CSK would have actually had a chance to play against somebody like an Avesh Khan. A couple of the domestic guys, maybe. He's also coming off the back of a pretty good Syed Mushtaq Ali trophy, right? If I'm looking at the stats right, he played 5 matches, picked up 14 wickets, 4th highest wicket taker, economy rate of 7.5, average of 10.6. I mean, so he's coming in with good form. He's a little bit different. He kept it disciplined. I mean, what did he end at? He ended with 2 for 23 in his 4 overs. The 2 wickets being Faf du Plessis early on in the match. And DJ, who was the second wicket? I can't exactly remember.
I don't know. Who was it?
It was, of course, our man MS Dhoni, right? Second ball duck.
I've blanked that from my mind.
Yeah,
man.
it's completely erased from your mind. But he got MS Dhoni out, right? Playing early in his career for the Delhi Capitals. So I like to see this kind of rotation a little bit with the youngsters in the squad. Great to give some new guys a chance. I believe Umesh and Ishant will get their turns when it comes. But DC's pace bowling is unmatched, right? If you think about bringing in Wokes and Curran for Rabada and Nokia, then you got Ishant and Umesh and Avesh now. There's plenty of options from a quick bowling standpoint. So great to see Avesh get his opportunity and come good.
I mean, but you still haven't addressed the Umesh point. I mean, what has he done wrong to not get a shot for? Or is it just that they've seen something in the nets, Ponting and Pant, and said, we're going to play this guy?
Yeah, it's got to be something. They've seen something in the nets, right? I don't think Umesh has done anything wrong. He doesn't walk into the IPL teams, right? Let's be honest. I don't have it open, but his T20 and IPL record isn't great. I'm a big fan of Umesh, the test match bowler, and as a result, I like him in general. But I don't think he walks into this side as an Indian quick for sure. Especially, yeah.
I think also he does leak runs, so he may pick up wickets, but he leaks runs. So when Rabada and Nokia are not playing, then what are you going to do, right? You've got Chris Wokes and Curran, who also got like beaten badly. Imagine if Umesh was also there.
Yeah, let's talk about Chris Wokes, right? And I want to talk to you, Varun, about this because I know you have a bit of a man crush on Chris Wokes. So he started off beautifully.
You're not talking about the guy I had a man crush on and who made a comeback, and it was Return of the King, Chinnatella. You didn't talk about him.
We will.
Let's talk about Chris Wokes first.
Let's go from the top, right? Chris Wokes bowls up top, picks up a wicket, bowls 2 overs for 8 runs, and then Rishabh Pant takes him off. Varun, is that just inexperience showing? Should Wokes have had another over? He only bowled 3 overs in the whole game.
Yeah, I think so. I was very shocked at the end of the match, when I looked at the stats, I suddenly realized he's bowled only 3. And I think Rishabh Pant stuck with the spinners a little bit too long. Ashwin, who honestly, we need him to do well because, your other spinners are not doing well for India in limited overs cricket. So this would have been a great opportunity for him. But he went at almost 12 runs and over. Amit Mishra went at 9 runs and over. So Rishabh Pant, I think he missed one trick in this game, which was to pull off the spinners and give that over to a Stoinis or a Wokes. Now, Stoinis also went for runs, but Wokes should have finished his quota of the overs.
Right, and so you did bring up Chinnathala, right? The first man to score a 50 this IPL, Mr. IPL. You just saw the difference he makes to that CSK lineup, hitting the ball for 6, hitting it over cover. Did you feel we were back in 2008, 2009 again with Suresh Raina at his very best?
You know what I felt? I felt that they should have given him the damn balcony last year. That's what I felt. Like, I mean, everyone needs a balcony in quarantine. How could you not? But
There was a great joke someone made that like I think I said Chinnathala in the house. They said, yeah, he's come out from the balcony. He's
yeah,
back in the
I
house.
mean, you didn't give him a balcony. Look at what he's done. But it was great. I'm a big Raina fan. Like, I wanted Delhi to win, but I also wanted Raina to do well. So when he hit 54, he looked good. He is looking fitter than he was a couple of years back. I think that drive is still there to do well. And yeah, for me, it's just unfortunate he got run out due to some mix out with Jadeja. But he was looking great. And I just hope this is the start of many, many more 50s for Raina in this IPL.
Just for the record, I know it was not a mix-up. Excuse me. It was not a mix-up with Jadeja. Jadeja completely sold him out.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
Jadeja
Jadeja
called him
bumped
back with-
into, but he bumped into Avesh Khan, and I think that was the little mix-up because Jadeja bumped in and then stopped.
It feels like I love Jadeja, but it feels like he should have sacrificed himself. Raina was looking magnificent at 54 of 36. But anyway, different discussion. But you got to sacrifice yourself when Raina looks like that, right?
I mean, it depends, right? Raina may have been slightly tired. Jadeja in the end overs. Jadeja strike rate better than Raina. So, yeah, it was unfortunate, but let's hope we see both of them back more.
No, but even Jadeja batted really well. I'm going to skip over the okay. Let's address the MS Dhoni elephant in the room. And like you saw Harishankar Reddy bowl him in the nets. You saw him being late on both the balls he played. It really hurts me to see a guy who in his prime was just probably the best ever at hitting the ball out of the ground is he's just the hand-eye coordination is gone. He just looks rusty. I mean, Reina you saw came over his rustiness, but Reina is 34, right? And Dhoni is closer to 40. So I hope he can rediscover some of that old magic. But I think we're just looking at his last dance at the moment, and I'm hoping he pulls out some of that magic. But Jadeja scored quickly. I want to come to the best part of this game, other than the Delhi innings, which for me, yesterday, Saturday, guys, was siblings day. I found out about this. On a day called Siblings Day, you have Tom Curran bowling to Sam Curran, right? I've got two brothers on this show, Varun and Ashwin. Ashwin is the younger brother, so let's call him Sam Curran. Varun is the older brother called Tom Curran. Varun, if you were playing out that over in front of the entire world, you're bowling the 19th over to your little brother in an IPL game, what would you have done after your younger brother has literally taken you apart in front of the entire world?
I think you should ask Ashwin this because he's the slightly quicker bowler out of the two of us. And he's definitely been hit for more runs versus me. So, yeah, I think Ashwin should answer
We
this
just
question.
established that I'm Sam and you're Tom.
Yeah,
DJ,
just because he's the younger brother, right? He has to be Sam. So what if, tell me what an older brother goes through once a younger brother smashes him all over the park in front of everyone.
I think you just hope that your team wins at the end of the day, even though your younger brother smashed you. And that's what happened. So I think Tom Curran had the last laugh.
And Ashwin, do you walk up to your older brother and say, I told you were adopted?
wow, that's
Has to
quite
go
polite.
that has to go the other way around, right?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, yeah, for sure. First off, DJ, we will happily adopt you as Ben Curran, the least successful of the three
The least
brothers, but one of the
successful.
three. You're
Doesn't
welcome to
even
join
play.
us.
Doesn't
plays,
even
just
play
not for the
international
country.
cricket.
No, but he plays. He plays at a high level of domestic cricket, I think. I think he plays for Northamptonshire. But anyway.
Fair enough. As long as
I'm-
इज्जत नहीं उड़ेगी सबके सामने.
absolutely, Hogi. I'm mostly looking forward. I was trying to look for the date. April 29th. Varun, in 18 days, Ravi Ashwin will be facing off against Varun Chakravarti. You and I will be watching that game closely.
That's so sad. They're not even going to bat or bowl to each other.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Maybe Ashwin will bat at 8 that game. We'll see.
It was insane. Okay, anyway, in a more serious note, right? There's obviously a bit of emotion between siblings and the sibling rivalry and stuff. But Ashwin, do you think again Pant missed a trick by not saving Tom Curran for the 20th and bowling him while his brother was there? Because you could see maybe Sam Curran being out there affected what Tom Curran was dishing out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think on paper the Pant could take a call like saying, I don't want to bowl one brother against the next or anything, right? Tom Curran's in the team. He's not going to play the whole season for Delhi. Let's be honest. He gave over 40 runs, I think. 40 runs he gave, which is funny because pretty much all of us predicted that. This is just how he goes. He'll bowl one good over out of the 4. He'll get smacked in one over. He was going to give 40 plus runs. And so Yeah, I think Pant missed a trick with Wokes. I think it was tough, right? It's basically a very tough day for a captain, especially a new captain like Rishabh Pant, when Marcus Stoinis didn't do well with the ball. So when he starts coming good with the ball, suddenly you have more options, and it just allows him to be smarter with his death bowling.
Awesome. So anyway, Chennai got up to 188. We had 189 to chase. Varun, let's talk through that innings from Prithvi Shaw. And I mean, I think we have to give him the CEAT Tires puncture resistant player of the week because he has come back from the depths to play that fantastic innings.
Yeah, I think he gets our CEAT Puncture Resistant Award and our Meme Resistant Award. How many memes were made against him, especially sitting in the room eating food or sitting with his headphones on looking at the floor, like how I still look when I got my class 12 results. But yeah, it's been fantastic, man. Like Prithvi Shaw has worked on it. We know he's talented. We've all been critics of him. I'm still not the biggest fan. Okay, let me say that. But when somebody plays an innings like that, you got to give them credit. You could see his backlift was a little bit different. I think he slowed it down a bit. I think DJ again, I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, he was getting the bat closer to the pads, right? I think things.
This was some Sunil Gavaskar stuff about how his back elbow was brushing and I quote the backside of his stomach, which was pretty
No, I
amusing.
I don't listen with commentary on, but I don't know. I just that those memories of Stark bowling that in swinger and the gap between bat and pad. Somehow he looked to have sorted himself out a little bit. I think it's going to take time. He's a dynamic player. He will play some loose shots, but the way he played yesterday, I mean, he was matching Shikhar Dhawan stroke for stroke. There was a point in which he was ahead of Shikhar, and Shikhar was the senior pro. This guy, as Ravi Shastri said, was the young Turk, and it was wonderful to watch them bat. My only regret is that Delhi didn't win by 10 wickets because at one point it really looked like they did. They were going to.
And just to pick up on that, obviously Shaw had gone back after that Australian tour. He sat down with Praveen Amre. The Delhi Capitals helped him out. He went back to his old coach and he worked on those technical deficiencies. It was fantastic to see a player who was so down in the dumps with, like as you said, meme resistant, with all the cough syrup jokes and the jokes of him sitting in the dressing room with his headphones on and him eating whatever noodles or whatever he was having after getting out for a duck. It was just great to see him come back. Ashwin, Shikhar Dhawan. Let's talk about our man Shikhar. I mean, we actually picked Pant and Shaw as the key players for the Delhi Capitals this season, but how key is Shikhar Dhawan going to be in this campaign? 3 excellent catches to boot as well, and my fantasy captain. So talk us through Shikhar this time.
I mean, you're fantasy captain, yes, but you're still pretty low on the fantasy league points. It took me a while to find you, but anyway,
Are you
that's
really
fine.
above me? That
I don't
sounds
know.
odd.
I think as I look right now, I am because I have Nitish Rana, and as we're recording this,
Yeah,
he's
my
playing.
captain hasn't played Warner. Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, dude, Shikhar Dhawan is just magnificent. What a class player! What he scored back-to-back centuries in the last IPL. It still just feels like we all think he doesn't belong in the T20 format, and it's like he's screaming from the rooftop, throwing his statistics at us, saying, "I freaking belong here! Like this is I'm the best of the best." Yes, there's a discussion to be had about his role for Team India in the T20 side, but that's more about team balance. It's not that Shikhar isn't talented enough or qualified enough to play at the highest level. So absolutely brilliant cricketer, just a great knock, lefty righty combination. He unsettled the Chennai bowlers early on, then he consolidated. He almost got there. Honestly, he got out to a great ball by Sharjah. Like no disappointment there as well. Would have liked to see him get to triple figures, obviously, but 85 off 54 in a match-winning cause, you'll take that from your opening batsman and senior pro any day of the week. He was just outstanding.
Absolutely. And the Delhi Capitals smashed 190 for 3, 18.4 overs to go to the top of the table. We were happy. Delhi Capitals fans were happy. Interesting picks with Hetmeyer, but we're not going to get any further into that. We're not going to pick any more holes in it. Guys, that is the first half of the show. There's a couple of things we want to mention before we go into the break. The first of which is the CEAT Strategic Masterstroke, guys. So we would like all of you to tell us what the CEAT Strategic Masterstroke for the week was. Was it a selection pick? Was it a bowling change? Was it a shot that was pulled out at the right time? Write into us at contact@onetiponehand.com. Send us a voice note and we'll play the best ones during the CEAT strategic timeout, guys. So it's an opportunity for you guys to hear your own voice on the show. We're really excited to do this little segment. It'll be very interesting. The other thing, as
Can
always,
we
is
can we select Rahul Dravid for the strategic masterstroke of the first week?
Indira Nagar ka gunda hu main.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
if
DJ.
you want to, please write in, guys. I mean, it's not going to be us picking it; it'll be the listeners writing in. The second thing to mention, as always, is the hashtag Bat with CEAT giveaway. Now, last week for the month of April, we asked you the question: who is the player that's taken the maximum number of wickets as an uncapped player who is yet to win a cap for India, right? So write in with the answer to that. Write in with the hashtag Bat with CEAT at One Tip One Hand on Twitter in public. And guys, as we mentioned, so this is going to be a show of two halves. This is the end of the first half. After the CEAT strategic timeout, we will be here with a fantasy wrap, and we will be talking to the guys at the cricket podcast about the game that's ongoing right now, which is the KKR versus the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So we'll do a quick wrap of that, and we will do a fantasy update as well. So we'll speak to you straight after this CEAT strategic timeout. Enjoy the show, guys.
Okay, awesome.